Tonight, a group of Canadian nurses return home after being stranded in Haiti.
So I guess reuniting the whole family is going to be a family day we won't forget.
The small Caribbean country has endured 11 days of violent anti-government protests. Plus, the jury in the Christopher husband's murder trial breaks for another night with no verdict. And
they told me straight up, there's nothing we can do.
I've never seen a government roll over so quickly.
Have you missed this? If so, get ready for more fireworks when Queen's Park resumes tomorrow. A live look tonight at Pearson International Airport. That's where 6 Ontario nurses who left Haiti are expected to land in just a couple of hours. Good evening, I'm Talia Ricci. The women returning from Haiti were part of a team of 8 Canadians that were volunteering at a compound just west of Port-au-Prince. They've been trying to escape for 8 days. One of the nurses from Montreal, Catherine O'Neill, was reunited with her family earlier this evening when that flight landed. Take a look.
Incredibly happy to be with my family and friends. It's a great relief. It's been a long week because it turned out to be about 13 days. We were very happy to be where we were, taking care of the people we were with. I think that all 8 of us nurses have left a little piece of our heart back in Haiti. The wonderful people we were working with. We were safe on the compound up until now, but with the escalating unrest, we were more at risk. And we were putting the people on the compound at risk by being there.
Here in Toronto, we spoke with the family of one of the nurses, and we were there when they got the good news they've been waiting for. Natalie Nanowski has the details.
For the past few days, Jaspal Ramgotra and his family have been glued to the television.
Patients remain enraged at their government,
nervously watching the chaos in Haiti.
We've been trying to keep a stiff upper lip, especially with the kids and stuff. We're trying to make sure, we're saying, listen, they're safe. Until
today, when he got the text message from his wife that he's been waiting for.
They see it. That's the overwhelming news we wanted to hear. So, it's been hard.
His wife Charlene is finally flying home. She's been working with Hope Grows, a charity that helps orphan children in Haiti, when anti-government protests erupted, blocking the street that would take her from her compound to the airport.
It does feel surreal being in this situation. We read about it and hear about it on the news. But now we're thinking, geez, we're part of that.
Charlene called the Canadian Embassy for help, but says it was closed.
We weren't really impressed with the support that we got from Canada, which is disappointing that they kind of just left us here to fend for ourselves.
And they did. A GoFundMe page was started.
The best solution seemed and safest was to get a helicopter. So we've been working on that. They finally secured the helicopter and scheduled to return today.
We asked Global Affairs about this, and it maintains that it's helped hundreds of Canadians get out, and it's currently working with others. Meanwhile, the hired helicopter took the 8 Canadian nurses to the airport, where they boarded a flight to Montreal and then Toronto.
I guess reuniting the whole family is going to be a family day we won't forget.
Natalie Nanowski, CBC News, Toronto.
The man charged with first-degree murder in the death of his 11-year-old daughter remains in hospital tonight. Rupesh Rajkumar is being treated for a self-inflicted gunshot wound. He was arrested on Thursday, not long after police discovered Riya Rajkumar's body inside a Brampton residence. Police have not released the girl's cause of death. A vigil was held for her over the weekend, and another will take place tomorrow night in Brampton. Her funeral is planned for Wednesday. The jury wrapped its 5th day of deliberations in the trial of the man who fired shots in the Eaton Centre in 2012. Christopher Husbands is charged with 2 counts of murder and several counts of aggravated assault. While Husbands admits to the shooting, his lawyers argued that he can't be held criminally responsible because he was suffering from PTSD. Greg Ross reports.
This is the second trial for Christopher Husbands in relation to the Eaton Center shooting. In 2014, a jury found Husbands guilty on 2 counts of second-degree murder, but that conviction was overturned on appeal after it was ruled the judge in that trial improperly rejected a request from the defense in relation to jury selection. In both trials, the jury was given the task of determining Husbands' state of mind when he opened fire in a crowded food court at the Eaton Center in June of 2012. The 29-year-old is facing a number of charges, including 2 counts of second-degree murder and 5 counts of aggravated assault. Husbands admitted to the shooting that killed 22-year-old Nixon Nurmalandran and 24-year-old Ahmed Hassan. Several others were injured, including a 13-year-old boy who suffered a gunshot wound to the head and a pregnant woman who was trampled in the chaos following the shooting. Husband's defense attorney argued he is not criminally responsible because he was suffering from PTSD at the time. Just months before the shooting, Husband's lawyers say he was attacked by a group of men who bound him with duct tape, pistol whipped him, and stabbed him numerous times, leaving him for dead. The defense claims Husband's PTSD was triggered when he saw 2 of his attackers at the mall, and as a result, he was not in control of his actions. The Crown alleged that Husbands knew exactly what he was doing, claiming he was out for street justice in relation to the attack against him. With no verdict reached today, the jury has been sequestered for another night, and they'll be back here tomorrow morning at the University Avenue courtroom to resume deliberations. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
Meteorologist Colette Kennedy joins us now for a first look at our forecast. You know, February has been a bit of a mixed bag, but I've been okay with the last couple of days, how much sunshine we've had. It's been really nice.
Yeah, it was beautiful today to get that extra sunshine, though, of course, we've got this extreme cold that is in place. The nice thing about February, it can be a bit troublesome, but at least it's not a terribly long month. So getting through it, hopefully, pretty quickly. We've just got 10 days left to go. And what I'm seeing as I look ahead, just to give you an idea, daytime highs above seasonal with these last 10 days, 80%. So 8 out of these 10 days, it looks like will be mild, and in many cases above the freezing mark. Stormy days, well, we're going to talk about one of those storms coming up in the longer weather a little later, but we've got about 3.5 or so. Could see some mixed precipitation. And then days that we have more sun than cloud, it looks like at least 6, maybe 7 of the days that are left in February, we're going to do okay with sunshine. Tomorrow is going to be one of those, but keeping these extremely cold temperatures, and then things start to warm up. However, we start to bring the cloud in early on Wednesday, and it's Wednesday night into Thursday. First some light snow, and then the risk of seeing some freezing rain. Overnight tonight, a cold one, -16, feeling -23. Tomorrow afternoon, we struggle to -4. It will feel like -9. More on that storm system coming for midweek just a little bit later, Talia.
I like that February outlook. It looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty positive outlook.
I'm glad to hear it. Thanks, Colette.
You're welcome.
And with the sunshine this morning, you may have also woken up to a fresh dusting of snow. Overnight, the city saw just a little bit of it. Although there was 10 centimeters predicted, we didn't get that much. But now an extreme cold weather alert is in effect for the city. Temperatures dropping to -16 with a wind chill in the -20s overnight. In anticipation of the messy roads, salt trucks were out late last night. With storm after storm hitting the GTA this winter, the city has been plowing and salting quite a bit. But as Adrian Chung reports, some residents and councillors say the city needs to be doing even more.
The digging out from a fresh coat of snow starts all over again. But at this stage of winter, you'll have to put your back into it.
Even on a family day weekend, you're working. You're out working.
Well, yeah, money's money.
Some tried to make the best of it.
Get it practicing over here.
But for many, silver linings are hard to find. Leftover snow makes for slippery sidewalks, clogs parking spaces and bike lanes. A group of cyclists on Dundas taking the matters into their own hands.
We had a great thaw, we had now a freeze. It's still the same story. We're wondering, will we see this till spring?
All this leftover snow and ice on the roads is really wasted space for the city. Normally 4 or 5 cars can be parked right here. Now no cars are getting over these ice humps. And the bike lane that runs right next to it, it's pretty much non-existent.
I believe the city can do a better job at accepting that we are a Canadian city
And we need to not only make sure that our roads and bike lanes are plowed effectively, but there are so many sidewalks in the core of our city that aren't plowed at all.
The city funds winter maintenance to tackle this every year. The storm in late January, where 30 centimeters of snow fell in a day, cost the city $4 million to clear. And the storm earlier in February, a shower of snow, freezing rain, and ice, a $3 million cleanup. This all up against the city's winter operations budget of nearly $113 million this year. Some city councilors say that number isn't enough if Toronto wants fully cleared roads.
We could look to cities like Montreal and Edmonton and cities around the world that understand that there are, cities in the north that have a lot of snow. We don't seem to recognize that we are a Canadian city that gets often a lot of snowfall. There are some years that are better than others, but we should be prepared and resourced to, tackle the worst kind of storms we get.
Toronto's budget chief says he plans to move a motion next month to take a deeper look at what can be done to improve winter maintenance. But in looking at the city's books, what's planned for the winter budget next year is the same as what was planned for this year, which means if the city wants to fully clear the roads, it'll have to make some decisions. Adrian Chung, CBC News, Toronto.
It's been more than 10 weeks, but tomorrow the Ontario legislature resumes sitting, and there are some changes ahead. Healthcare and education are the big two. We'll give you a preview of what to expect next. The two men found guilty of plotting to derail a Via train are now asking for a new trial. Lawyers for Red Jasser and Chiab Esagayr will argue the judge who oversaw the case made several errors, including rejecting their client's request as to the method of jury selection. Both were sentenced to life in prison. The challenge will be heard in a Toronto court tomorrow. Queen's Park resumes tomorrow. The Ford government has some big plans in store for the province. They include a first budget, an overhaul of the healthcare system, and possibly even more students per classroom. Our Queen's Park reporter Mike Crawley with the details now on what to expect.
The Ford government's first budget will undoubtedly be one of the big moments here at Queen's Park. The date hasn't been announced yet, but it's a safe bet to say the budget will come sometime in the next couple months. Now, it will reveal exactly what sort of spending cuts the PCs have in mind. It will also tell us exactly when the government intends to balance the budget. That's because by law, they have to put in a timetable for getting rid of the deficit. The finance minister until now has been rather vague about when that's going to happen.
You know, I like to use my Goldilocks reference to balancing the budget. It won't be too soon because, quite frankly, nobody would believe it. It won't be too long because anybody can do that. It will be just right.
A shakeup is clearly on the way for Ontario's health system. My sources tell me the Ford government will dissolve the local health integration networks and replace them with a central super agency to oversee healthcare administration. Then down the road, there will be mergers. Look for different hospitals, long-term care facilities, and home care agencies to join up.
I'm not going in there hacking and slashing and with a chainsaw cutting it up. It's not going to happen under administration. We're going to find efficiencies. We're going to be responsible.
Changes are also in the works for the school system. The education minister is looking at larger class sizes in the elementary years. In kindergarten, the government is considering getting rid of teachers and having only early childhood educators in kindergarten classes. And we'll also learn what the Ford government has in mind for changing the sex ed curriculum. Finally, expect to see some sort of resolution to the Ron Taverner controversy. The Toronto Police Superintendent is a close friend of Premier Doug Ford. The Integrity Commissioner is investigating Ford's move to appoint Taverner to head the OPP. His report is expected in the coming weeks. Mike Crowley, CBC News, Toronto.
An assault rifle, handguns, and hundreds of rounds of ammunition. Those were just some of the items seized by Toronto police during raids last week. As Ali Chiasson shows us, investigators are saying they feel they've put a significant dent in an organized crime ring.
The drugs and guns are on display at Toronto Police headquarters now. How they got here speaks to the drug traffickers' ingenuity. Here's Inspector Steve Watts with the drug squad.
We're dealing with vehicles that utilize traps. It's actually custom-built furniture. It can be an end table. It can be a coffee table. Usually they're operated by magnets. A series of magnets operate the lids, and it's just essentially a false lid and a false bottom and a piece of just routine house furniture, but it's all custom made.
$100,000 worth of heroin, $250,000 in cocaine, $300,000 in fentanyl. Inspector Watts says Project Moses made a big dent in the drug trade across the GTA.
Of specific concern to me with this table is the amount of firearms in front of me that were all seized primarily from, a couple locations. This here on the table in front of you is reality, so my people are faced with going into search warrants, loaded weapons. The majority of these weapons, at least some of them were fully loaded. The mags were loaded. So you're looking at significant officer safety concerns.
This is allegedly the haul linked to 3 men, only one of whom has been arrested.
The 3 individuals are all going to be, a lot of them jointly charged. I don't want to go through all of them because I'll be up here for like 20 minutes, but I can say it's in excess of, in terms of firearm charges, in excess, all 3 individuals, in excess of 27 firearm charges.
Nicholas Ortega of Ottawa was arrested last week. Vincent Wong and Daniel Siu are still wanted men. Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Toronto.
Still ahead, a new shelter is opening up in Scarborough soon. And this one will be a little different, accepting more than just homeless youth. Details after the break.
The weather update is brought to you by Train Extreme Conditions Testing. It's hard to stop a train, really hard. Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand.
There are over 2,000 young people estimated to be homeless in Scarborough. And in about a month, the first and only emergency shelter for homeless youth will open. But there's something else that's unique about this shelter and transition home. It not only houses humans, but their canine companions too.
We just want to open our doors to any teenager who is in trouble, who wants help, and is ready to do the work to get better. For me, my most proudest unique feature is the fact that this facility is going to have a dog kennel. It's under construction, but this is going to be a state-of-the-art dog kennel. We've all seen all kinds of young people. They spread a sleeping bag on the street and they're sitting there, and sometimes they're a couple and they always have dogs. Often those dogs are the only companion that these young people have on this planet, and they will not come in out of the cold, or they will not come in for help and leave their dog alone. It's going to have dog baths, individual glass dog cages. So we've created a situation where they can come in, bring their dog with them, and if they decide to move to the transition side, then what happens is there'll be a cage put in their room, and the kids and the dogs can all sleep in the same room. We're not judgmental here, right? We're here to help.
Colette's back now with our extended forecast, and we did get pretty lucky with our family day weather today, but it's not going to last that long.
Yeah, that's right. After that snow early in the day, then beautiful sunshine and quieter conditions other than where you had that wind blowing the snow a little bit. But our next thing to come, a special weather statement for freezing rain risk. This is actually, that freezing rain chance would be more late Wednesday into Thursday morning. It'll start with some snowfall, and I'll kind of walk you through tonight, a cold one. We have the extreme cold weather alert into tomorrow morning. It's going to feel like about minus 20 to minus 25 with the wind chill, but we do get sunshine again through the day on Tuesday. We start to lose that early on Wednesday as the clouds start to move in, the next system approaching. First, it will bring some of that lighter snow into southwestern Ontario. That turns over to rain as the temperatures rise. But Wednesday, later in the day, yes, for likely that afternoon commute, starting as some flurries, changing into some wet snow, and then eventually Wednesday night into Thursday as the temperature comes up. That's when we get into that risk of seeing some freezing rain, and we'll be kind of watching that carefully. We'll tweak that much more as we get into tomorrow, as it'll be closer, and we'll likely see Environment Canada at that point going forward with whether they need to put in watches or warnings. But for now, it's a special weather statement. Overnight tonight, feeling like minus 18 for southwestern Ontario. A few flurries, but most of those have been tapering off, and so we've got a clearing trend overnight. Minus 4, but feeling more like minus 9, so you can knock about 5 degrees off tomorrow afternoon, even with that beautiful sunshine. Overnight tonight, you can understand the extreme cold weather alert when it feels like minus 23. But sunshine again tomorrow, and the temperatures running below seasonal. We're getting closer. We're not there yet. We're still at about minus 1, but getting closer to where our seasonal daytime high is at 0. Again, not there yet, but these are running 3 to 5 degrees kind of below where we should be at this time of year. Storm comes in Wednesday, lasts into Thursday morning, some freezing rain risk, and then likely as that temperature comes up to 3 degrees, anything left changes over to just plain rain showers. Then it clears out, and then look at Friday and Saturday. There are a couple of those days that I was mentioning earlier in the show with sunshine and temperatures above seasonal.
Well, it looks like freezing rain has been a bit of a theme this February, so I'll focus on that nice weekend coming up.
Yes, absolutely. It has been this February.
Well, if you need a good reason to get to the beach in the middle of winter, some new art might help encourage a visit.
On here, it's like a lot of like bright colors, like pinks and orange and yellow and green, and it's just really fun.
At this time of year when everything is gray and white and cold, it's nice to see so many people down here in the sun having fun and enjoying time with their families.
You're looking at the winter stations. The design competition kicked off today at Woodbine Beach. Local and international teams are taking part, along with 2 Toronto schools. In all, 6 installations are on display, and they're inspired by a theme of migration.
A lot of Mexican people live here in Toronto. A lot of Mexican people live here in Canada, and that's the forest we are trying to represent in, well, in this case, with butterflies.
Our installation is called Above the Wall, and its intent is to contest the use of border walls to prevent migration and immigration.
We based our the project on a series of people walking towards something better, migrating basically. All these people are anonymous. You cannot see where they're coming from or who they are.
The winter stations will be up until April 1st. A Saskatchewan grandfather has turned his front yard into a virtual winter fairy tale. This 7-meter-high ice castle engulfs the front yard. It's inspired by the popular animated movie Frozen. Retired architect Don Greer says he was prompted to create it for his granddaughters. It took him 2 weeks to build using wood and chicken wire. And that's our show for you tonight. Thanks for watching. I'll see you back here tomorrow at 11. Good night.